For centuries, Rome ruled the known world with unmatched power. Its armies were unstoppable, its roads unbreakable, its laws eternal. From the cold frontiers of Britain to the burning deserts of the Middle East, Rome imposed order on chaos and called it civilization. To the people who lived under its banners, Rome did not seem temporary. It felt permanent, unkillable, eternal. And yet, it collapsed. Not suddenly, not in a single night, but slowly, so slowly that many living through it never realized what was happening. The Roman Empire did not fall because of one enemy, one battle, or one bad emperor. It died because of a chain reaction: economic decay, political corruption, military exhaustion, social division, and pressures it could no longer absorb. The real question is not when Rome fell. The real question is why an empire so powerful could not save itself. Before we continue, understand this. Documentaries like this require enormous research, time, and effort. If you value deep history and want us to keep uncovering the truth behind humanity, as great as civilizations, please subscribe and like this video. Our goal is to grow this channel, and your support genuinely motivates us to continue. Rome at its peak, an empire beyond imagination. To understand Rome's destruction, we must first understand how extraordinary it was at its height. At its peak in the 2nd century CE, the Roman Empire controlled over 5 million square kilometers and ruled more than 60 million people. Its cities had running water, sanitation systems, paved roads, public baths, and administrative structures that would not be matched in Europe for over 1,000 years. Rome's military was the most disciplined force on earth. Its economy was global. Grain from Egypt fed Rome. Silver from Spain financed armies. Goods flowed freely along roads and sea routes protected by Roman law and Roman soldiers. For generations, peace known as the Pax Romana reigned across vast territories. But empires do not collapse at their weakest moments. They collapse after success. The hidden cost of expansion. Rome's greatest strength, expansion, was also its first fatal weakness. Every new territory meant longer borders to defend, more soldiers to pay, and more administrators to control distant lands. What once brought wealth slowly became a financial burden. As conquests slowed, Rome lost its primary source of income: war loot. The empire had been built on expansion, and when expansion stopped, the system began to break. Maintaining massive armies without new spoils forced the state to raise taxes, debase its currency, and squeeze its population harder than ever before. Inflation followed. Roman coins lost silver content. Prices skyrocketed. Trust in money collapsed. Farmers abandoned land they could no longer afford to farm. Trade slowed. The economic engine that powered Rome began to grind itself apart. Political corruption and the death of stability. Rome's political system was never designed to govern an empire of such scale. What worked for a city-state could not sustain a continent-spanning power. As authority centralized, corruption flourished. Emperors rose and fell at terrifying speed. Many were assassinated by their own guards. Others were placed on the throne by military force. Loyalties shifted from the state to whoever paid the army the most. Between 235 and 284 CE, Rome experienced the crises of the 3rd century. In just 50 years, more than 20 emperors ruled, most meeting violent ends. Civil wars became constant. Provinces broke away. The empire nearly shattered entirely. Rome was no longer united by purpose. It was ruled by fear, the military that ate the empire alive. Rome's army, once its greatest asset, became its heaviest burden. Soldiers demanded higher pay. Recruitment grew difficult as citizens avoided service. To fill the ranks, Rome increasingly relied on mercenaries, many of them foreigners with little loyalty to Roman ideals. Entire legions were now composed of non-Roman warriors. They fought for gold, not for Rome. And when gold ran out, loyalty vanished. Worse still, generals with loyal armies became threats themselves. Ambitious commanders used troops to seize power, plunging the empire into repeated civil wars. Rome was no longer fighting enemies. At its borders, it was fighting itself. If this story is opening your eyes to how even the greatest empires can decay from within, please take a moment to support our work. Our team spends countless hours researching, writing, and crafting documentaries like this. Subscribe to the channel and like the video. It truly helps us continue bringing history to life. Social decay and the loss of Roman identity. Rome's collapse was not only political or economic, it was cultural. The sense of shared Roman identity began to fade. Citizenship, once sacred, became widespread and diluted. Civic duty declined. Wealthy elites retreated into luxury, while common citizens struggled to survive. Public trust in institutions collapsed. The idea of Rome as a collective project weakened. People stopped believing the empire could protect them. When faith in the system disappears, collapse becomes inevitable. The barbarian pressure builds as Rome weakened internally. Pressure grew from beyond its borders. Germanic tribes, Huns, and other groups pushed against Rome's frontiers not just as invaders, but as refugees fleeing climate shifts, resource shortages, and other nomadic pressures. Rome tried to manage this by allowing some tribes to settle within its borders, but poor management, corruption, and broken promises turned these arrangements into disasters. In 378 CE, Roman forces suffered a devastating defeat at the Battle of Adrianople against the Goths. A Roman emperor was killed in battle. Shocking event that exposed Rome's vulnerability to the world. The myth of Roman invincibility was shattered. A divided empire cannot survive. In an attempt to save itself, Rome divided power. The empire was split into eastern and western halves. On paper, this was a strategic move. In reality, it sealed the West's fate. The Eastern Roman Empire, wealthier, more urbanized, and better defended, would survive for another 1,000 years. The Western Roman Empire, poorer and politically unstable, began its final descent. Rome had survived invasions before. What it could not survive was internal collapse combined with external pressure. Christianity and the changing soul of Rome. One of the most debated factors in Rome's fall is Christianity. Some argue it weakened traditional Roman values and military discipline. Others argue it provided unity during chaos. The truth is more complex. Christianity changed Rome's identity. It shifted focus from the state to the spiritual, from earthly glory to eternal salvation. This transformation did not destroy Rome, but it reshaped it in ways the old system could not fully absorb. Rome was becoming something new, but it did not have the strength to complete the transformation. Standing on the edge of collapse by the late 4th and early 5th centuries, the Western Roman Empire was exhausted. Its economy was broken, its army unreliable, its leadership weak, its borders porous. When Rome was finally sacked first in 410 CE, then again in 455, it shocked. The ancient world, the eternal city, once untouchable, had fallen. But Rome did not die that day. It had been dying for centuries. The question that remains, so what really destroyed the Roman Empire? Was it barbarians? Corruption? Economic collapse? Military decay? Cultural transformation? Or was it the unstoppable weight of its own success? In the next part, we will examine the final collapse, the last emperors, the fall of the West, and the haunting lesson Rome left behind, one that still applies to modern superpowers today.